maybe, I mean, I'm on a spitballing here, but maybe when you're sleeping, those regenerative properties activate. Um, so who knows? I mean, you could even probably go to as far as to say that when you sleep, you might even be, you might even, this is very loose and fast, but you might even travel to, or subconsciously travel to other supposed dimensions, maybe. Like when you dream, mostly when you dream, it's always like in lucid dreams, for example, it's always yourself looking through the eyes. You're not looking like from the outside in on a subject. You're looking at that subject as the observer it's themselves. So it's like you're in the shoes of the person that you're dreaming about. Um,
Mm.
so I think there's a lot of thought there. This is why this specific subject was very interesting, piqued my interest because I could talk about it all day. But I'll hand the reins back over now.
Yeah, no, that's interesting stuff that you said there. And again, it brings home this business of why we need to sleep, which they've never really found out why. The fact is, we are asked every day, every night, to utterly relinquish our consciousness. And actually, just thinking about that, that's quite a statement because we tend to think of our lives as permanently at it, permanently on it. But actually, we willingly shut ourselves down. But it's not only that you say about subconscious, unconscious, it really is a form of unconsciousness because not only are we unconscious, but for much of the time, we're paralyzed as well. You probably know that as well. That I'll say in a minute about the various stages of sleep, but in the majority of that sleep, in its various cycles, which I'll say about as I say. But for much of that sleep, we are literally paralyzed. There are exceptions. It's rare that some people do not get paralyzed, and during their hallucinations, which we call dreams, of course, they can be thrashing about and kicking. And I know one or two people who've said to me in the past that they do that or their partner does that to them. So it's exceptional that you're not paralyzed, but most of us are actually paralyzed. And the safety factor there clearly is that in a dream, if we were very frightened in a nightmare or something, we might try and get up and run and all sorts of things. I mean, there is a thing of sleepwalking, isn't there? Which I've not really ever looked at that. But yeah, these hallucinations or dreams clearly play quite a part. And I do agree with you. Sometimes they're so vivid that they seem like another dimension. And funnily enough, even the other night I had a dream, which is in over time has been a bit of a recurring dream. And so when this dream happened, and as you say, we're looking at the dream, we're part of it through our own eyes. When it happened, I was saying to people, "Is this a dream?" Because I've been dreaming this for a long time, but this is it a dream? And I was asking myself that question, and then I remember saying, "No, this is not a dream. This is real. This is really happening." I mean, it wasn't a terrible thing, but it was really happening. And it was a couple of nights ago, and it was only yesterday during the day I suddenly thought, "Well, I really believed that was reality." And sometimes dreams are like an alternative reality for us, and they can be very frightening. To say about the stages of dreaming, the first stage is when we relinquish our consciousness, usually between 5 and 15 minutes. And that's very restorative. It's very recuperative, that part. And it goes into the second part of the cycle, the second phase, which is light sleeping. And that restorative. It's very recuperative, that part. And it goes into the second part of the cycle, the second phase, which is light sleeping. And that usually takes about another 20 minutes, but we really sometimes feel we're still awake. So it's kind of a midway situation. The third stage is very deep sleep. very deep sleep, where if somebody tried to rouse us, to wake us, they would have a real job to do that. It may be sometimes in the mornings if you're waking a partner up or somebody else. You think, well, I can't wake them up. You know, that's not easy to wake some people up in that phase. And then the last phase is the rapid eye movement, REM, which is where most of our hallucinations, and I use that word because I think researchers tend to use that word, that's where most of the dreams actually happen, within that rapid eye movement situation. And that's quite interesting because, again, at the University of Chicago, which have looked at not just dreams, but sleep quite a lot, and I think it was back in the 1950s, apparently, that one researcher wanted to measure some brain waves for his department in the university. So it involved getting a volunteer, and it turned out to be his son. This researcher's name, I think, was Eugene Aserinsky, something like that. And his son, Armand, who was 8, agreed to spend a night trying to sleep so they could monitor on the monitor the brain waves. But after about, it all went quiet when he went to sleep. They were in another room. And then after about 20 minutes, so it's more than that, probably after about an hour, the monitor started jerking about, looking as if he was awake, as if there was activity going on with the brain and therefore the body. So they went into the room and he was still fast asleep, but they noticed his eyelids, his eyes were going sort of up and down, lots and lots of movement. And he looked into this, did Aserinsky, and it turns out he discovered rapid eye movement. That's where that came from, and he never really put it down to what was going on, why the eyes are swiveling. But a lot of researchers think it is to do with watching our dreams, which in themselves is another strange thing, isn't it? To be, for example, chased by zombies, or unaccountably finding ourselves naked at a bus stop with no obvious reason for that. And they all seem so absolutely realistic. So this whole business, and you may say, well, that's where the rapid eye movement comes from, if we're a bit shocked to see what we may be seeing in the dream. But they're the stages of sleep, the 4 stages. Some say it's 5 because they split the deep sleep into 2. But those cycles go on about 4 to 5 times every night. So you get back to the very light.